Hello, everybody. First of all, I wanted to tell you that I'm really, really happy I can be here because my grandparents were basically born in Vilnius, and I'm kind of really, when I was a kid, I was a couple of times here, really great time, and I feel so much sort of connection to this country. The bad news is, or good news, whatever you like, is that there was some kind of misunderstanding, and I was really thinking how to be most sort of productive for you and most interesting, and I thought that I will change basically the theme, the subject of the presentation. So it will be not like product, just product, and I will like, because a lot of things is happening really in e-commerce industry. Recently, in the global, from the global perspective, and I just thought that maybe I will share a bit of thoughts on what is happening actually on the global market, which for you is absolutely even more important than for Poland, because Polish people and Polish entrepreneurs in e-commerce are a bit lazy, because when you have like 40 million country, you just build business locally and it may flourish really, right? And for you, with like much less people locally, whatever you do, you have to think globally, right? And this is why probably you are even more successful, like Lithuanians are probably even more successful in creating global e-commerce businesses than Poland is, right? But SALESmanago is not the case here, because we actually have built a company which is right now 350 people. We are like 25 million revenue business, pretty big, like 70% of the revenues from outside of Poland, and yeah, it's kind of sort of, we are, I think, one of the three largest companies of this type, kind of customer data platform and marketing automation platform. Myself, I've been marketer all my life, and before like setting up the business 10 years ago, I was the CMO at the largest Polish IT company. I was the CEO of the third largest Polish internet portal, and then I decided to be an entrepreneur and build something on my own. And really, it's so exciting. I would like to also thank very much to Invertus, our partner in Lithuania, that kind of helped me in getting in here. Thanks Sauronas for great guys that we know. We've known each other for many months already. When you look at the, it's not working. Something that I was a marketer, and then I saw like what it is to be a marketer. A lot of pains, a lot of difficult situations, like all the time, right? It's like really what really triggered me. I decided to stop. Basically. Working for a corporation, and I decided to do something on my own. And then what really triggered me is that was the kind of famous Adobe survey of customers, where the people were being asked what is the most valuable and what is the least valuable job in the world. And marketer was among the least valuable jobs in the world, next to actor and dancer, right? And I said, oh, it's a great space, it's a great kind of theme to make a company on this, right? Let's try to change this, yeah? Because I was a marketer too, and I felt that pain. So, I think that today, and we did it quite well, because today you have more, basically, articles like this, like the people that we started to work with, really 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Today, a lot of them are CMOs, a lot of them are on boards, because digital marketing, internet, e-commerce have become so important, right? It's that currently businesses, the whole kind of marketing space, really from the kind of cost center became a true investment place where you see where the growth is, right? Today, nobody is cutting marketing in the first place if they want to improve profit margin, right? So it's kind of initial story on why we are here. I would like to share with you a bit of context on what's happening in the world, right? So, we have, our lives, unfortunately, in the e-commerce space, marketing space, are not easy, right? Especially in today's world, where we have globally you see a huge challenge with the market growth. So you can see that last year there was a huge, really deep in the growth, in the global growth of e-commerce. Whichever research you take, and I think that it's showing the same trend. This year it looks like we have a bit of improvement. There are some kind of green shoots. Things are improving, but it's still really, really hard, right? So what is the reason for that is obviously globally is the inflationary pressure, right? People basically spend less money, right? And whenever you look, people basically are saving money. They are so much cautious, right? And the buying patterns, the buying behaviors are completely different than they were before. Like you see that there's a huge loyalty crisis. People don't look for brand, they look for value, they look at money, and that's hugely affecting online businesses around the world, right? 90% of consumers, they basically switch brands as never before, right? That means that for us, for e-commerce teams, acquisition of customers is not only has stopped being the most important thing, not only because of the CAC, because the CAC, the customer acquisition costs, are basically making this customer acquisition completely, I would say, financially infeasible. So that means that really all the top-performing top-performing marketers are focusing on current customer databases, right? Really, whatever you have, whatever assets you have in terms of your current customers, this is the most important thing that you should be looking at, right? Our customers, just sort of a bit of propaganda. Our customers are growing. When we look like the whole database of SALESmanago customers, we have 2,000 of them. They are growing 38% annually, right? Because this is what CDP is doing, right? You just focus on the current customer base. You don't really care too much about new customer acquisition. That's a separate job, right? So this loyalty crisis is super important. Another thing, right, is that when you might think that this is the end of the problems. Of course it's not. So after COVID times, people basically they stopped shopping online as frequently as they did before, right? And that's another challenge, right? How to connect that data, how to connect offline and offline really into kind of seamless omni-channel experience, right? So inflation, loyalty, crisis, and really more and more people really going back to the old. A little bit of them are going to the old kind of brick and mortar kind of style of shopping, which is quite interestingly also resulting in some very interesting things. Yesterday I saw a report from AGC. It's a US-based kind of big investment bank. They analyzed what is happening after what is connected with this kind of inflation, going back to brick and mortar. And another challenge for retailers is actually theft, right? So you can imagine a lot of businesses in the US currently can switch the place, the town or the street to the place where there's basically less events like theft, there are less burglars, because that's kind of affecting retail too. Quite something I would not imagine, basically, right? What is a bit of thoughts on the tech, right? Because obviously there's a macro, right? There are macro trends which I have just discussed. There's also the future, which is also making like our marketers' lives, e-commerce life really, I would say, challenging. And tech is basically one of those places. So the trends that you can probably everybody would agree that these are not my thoughts. This is really like some kind of consensus from what I read online. What is the research? The e-commerce trends, the trends that will dominate e-commerce in the next 12 months are most definitely AI, zero-party data, unifying MarTech stack, data privacy, and mobile commerce, right? So this space is like, I mean, unlike any other space in terms of in software, is creating really a lot of challenges when you look at where the marketer or e-commerce should really deploy the resources. You know that map? Have you seen that map? Yeah, of course. Scott Brinker. Actually, this is the guy that on 18th of October we will host Scott Brinker on our kind of webinar. SALESmanago is organizing on the 18th of October a webinar where Scott Brinker, the author of this map, quite famous guy in the MarTech world, will share his thoughts on how the technologies will evolve around customer data. So this is, when you see all those trends in e-commerce, the MarTech, this is, the guy is making a map of all the solutions for marketing, right? For marketing in e-commerce. And this is how the map looks like. And this is we were starting SALESmanago in 2011, where you could actually tell what the logo, what the brands were. Today, so we started like in 2011, you had 150 solutions, and today you have 11,000 solutions, right? Everybody is begging you for your attention. Everybody is begging you for your attention, right? And basically that is causing a lot of stress, right? Because it looks like basically if you look at another survey of marketers in e-commerce, in online retail, keeping up with implementing technology is like 45% of you would say is the biggest challenge, right? I mean, today nobody knows what's the perfect stack. Really, what is the perfect stack? How to compose that stack so it's most really, so it's delivering most value, that is most efficient, this most kind of ROI, right? Pretty exciting kind of space to be in, but I think that there's no clear pattern that probably you could really deploy in any business, right? Everybody is working out their own kind of way, the way of life, and happily, a lot of marketers are still finding really space to innovate. That's pretty exciting. I mean, SALESmanago would not be here if it was not for the fact that marketers are really innovative, because and we see that also in when we look at our data, there's I think 50% of the marketers who basically want to chat about tech because they want to understand really what the innovation is, what they are missing, not to really lose touch with the reality. Because if you don't follow the trend, if you basically maybe skip something, that would mean that your competition will basically do it better, and then you lose ground. One of the ways of really coping with this kind of fragmentation of tech in e-commerce is the clear trend of going into like integrated suites. So a lot of right now players, like similar to SALESmanago, they would see a bigger opportunity in basically deploying the integrated approach. So you basically take something just ready-made. It's kind of in opposition to this big trend to composable commerce. Composable commerce obviously is a great idea, but depends what kind of size of business you're talking about, right? Composable commerce is great for really like enterprise where you have a great big IT team, you have money to invest, right? But for a mid-sized business where they still want to grow, they don't have too much money to invest, this integrated approach would be much more, let's say, much more preferable, right? Because again, because then if you don't take this approach, then the risk is that you basically will risk the utilization of the MarTech stack that you have in place. So as you can see, it's quite interesting. 42% of the marketers, they basically don't use the software they buy, right? The features they buy, right? You just have it, and then what's up, right? So I mean, I don't think, especially in recessionary times like we have today, it's really important that you look, guys, at what you have on board, and does it really do the job, right? What's that? Turkey. You know this famous proverb, English proverb, that during tornado even turkey can fly. Yeah. What that means basically, that what that means for us, right? That not just for e-commerce, but basically for all businesses, right? That the truth is, and I think that today the world is really waking up, is that when generally the market is growing like 30-40%, right? You have to be stupid if you don't grow like the market, right? The times are completely different, right? That means that today, when you look at all the businesses, everybody is looking so very, very closely at who we have on board, and really, in terms of people, in terms of resources, to make sure that this kind of setup may work well in this kind of really difficult times, right? And those difficult times are not, I would say, really bad thing, because a lot of businesses have become like, suddenly the businesses that were never profitable became profitable, right? Unimaginable, right? And just by really closely looking at who we work with, what kind of tech we use, and so on. And a couple of things that I believe are important from the perspective of how we can do it, how we can make it work in e-commerce to really sort of use that time as an opportunity. First of all, there are a lot of research already showing that what worked 10 years ago doesn't work today in terms of cutting the spend in bad times, right? So really go to your CEO and you will find that a lot of that research online, that basically top performing companies in times like today, they don't spend marketing cost. They don't cut marketing spend, right? They look for savings in finance team, in administration. Marketing is like not really the best place to start with, right? Especially if you want to be ready for the better times. Second thing, of course, I already mentioned, like focusing on efficiency, right? That this efficiency in e-commerce can touch upon really many things. Of course, people, of course, how we spend money, but really on tools, but also looking at the inventory, where you buy products, what are the margins. We are discussing right now some kind of a big partnership with a German business, super popular German business, where they can connect really the data between campaign, product category, and a product to create like a perfect profitable kind of story between how we spend money and then what kind of margin we generate, right? You can build that kind of analytics, really, you know, this kind of. I was in London a month ago at SaaStr, big kind of SaaS conference. Doing more with less was like repeated sort of every 15 minutes, but at all the presentations. Lean marketing, of course, that's something we sort of promote as an idea because lean is obviously something we want to achieve in all the spaces, in all the areas of business. But there are specific manifestations of that approach in marketing too. Especially, I think, especially in our space, it's using the assets that you already have, right? So the asset that you have is your customers, your database, is your website. How you utilize that assets will be defining for the future success of your business. We were discussing already. I mentioned this aspect of working with the customers. It's not just data, right? It's the type of data you use. It's the type of data you deploy. And it's we have the third-party data, which is gone. You have first-party data, which is transactional, behavioral. And now, really, it's the time of zero-party data. And zero-party data, this is the information that customer is voluntarily leaving with you to help you understand who he really is, right? And that's the only way where you really create some kind of deeper connection. And this is where the true loyalty is, right? A loyalty is not in RFM, is not in kind of personalizing email. The true loyalty is really to make sure that we know who the customer really is, right? What are the values of the customer? A lot of e-commerce businesses today start to think this way, right? So when I look at what our customers are doing, they're really the top performance. They create completely different types of segmentation already based on values, right? And then they create a content, a messaging that speaks to the values and creates like real connections, right? And this is the factor that is in the context where the customers would say, I want to switch brand because something is cheaper. If you want to keep that customer, value would be the best way, probably the only way today to do it. And last but not least, something a lot of marketers really forget. This is maybe not only for recessionary times. Always marketing should be 100% aligned with the CEO, right? I mean, very often there are a lot of stories between marketing being a silo between sales and other departments. I think that launching some kind of regular cadences with your managers, with the CEOs, that really helps, right? And I think that today CEOs want to feel they are truly supported by marketing, and then you understand really the priorities of the business, right? And we can fly, right? We Turkish can fly. Not during not big wins, but just as a summary of what we mean here, what is the opportunity? A famous quote of Ayrton Senna that you have already read. We can take these times as a huge opportunity. If you're good, if you're motivated, have great teams, I think that there's still like a lot of places where we can grow and really use that time to prepare for better times, because for sure, the economy is a cycle game, and very soon we will wake up in a bit better reality, and it's good to be ready for that. Yeah, I wanted to thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. It was really great to be here. If you wanna just reach out to me, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grzegorz, for this helicopter view on all the stuff marketers are concerned about. Getting back to CDP, platform world, and the MarTech, you showed that it's 11,000 of choices marketers are faced, or not only marketers, but everyone in the company. So from the marketer standpoint, when there's 11,000 players in the market, how to make the selection? When everybody's so great in their white papers, in their functions, what you can do with the customer data and how you can outreach your customers more individually and personalized way. So what are the key criteria marketers or companies should look at when choosing the right provider or the partner in the CDP world?
I think that the key thing is basically to really understand what are the pains, and then just focus on like the top 3 pains, and then you'll look for specific solutions that are addressing those pains, right? And then just focus on that, right? So clearly there are solutions that you might try to solve some strategic kind of challenges, and then obviously something I really like is like looking at where the quick wins are, and also addressing that with specific solutions. But definitely I would avoid just rushing like everywhere. Really understanding.
And it takes time. And you work with the most prominent e-com retailers here, as I know. And who are the ones you're competing with from the marketing automation platform side? Who are the other players the marketers have to make the decision?
Well, in terms of CDP, that's obviously that always depends on the size of the business, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there are
the biggest ones.
So I mean, the biggest ones, I would say, they are composing like their own stacks, and I would say, I don't know, Tilium, Segment in terms of CDP, and maybe Adobe, Adobe, Emarsys. We work with mid-sized businesses where we would say we would be closer to Klaviyo. I mean, some customers migrating from Klaviyo to SALESmanago.
Salesforce is somewhere in
so Salesforce is absolutely like the enterprise sort of business, right? So let's say, just to give you some imagination, some flavor here, Adobe or this kind of guys. Solutions like annually would cost you 100K euros.
Okay.
So for SALESmanago kind of integrated stack, that's something like 20K euros, and for Klaviyo it could be 1,000. Sorry, like 5,000 euros, right? Yeah. Something like this, right? So that's always, and also like a lot more and more MarTech is absolutely focused vertically.
Yeah.
So they are not generic anymore, right? So I mean, everybody has its own kind of sweet spot verticals that you're focusing on.